Hey everybody, Adam here with Hometown Acres. Welcome back. We've got a welding project in the shop today, which means we made Elliot from Everything Elliot drive down here 2.5 hours just for this 5-minute welding project. That's not actually what we're doing here. Elliot and Chris and Jake from Dude Ranch DIY, they are all coming into town this weekend for the International Firewood Expo, as well as we've got an ATV ride party scheduled for this weekend. But in the meantime, we do have one little small welding project that I want to get done here. I don't know if you can tell, but that bucket does not belong on that mini skid. That is
it doesn't belong yet.
Doesn't belong yet. That is I think it's a 72-inch bucket from my LS tractor that is way oversized for that mini skid. I think the standard bucket that comes on the mini skid is like a 36-inch bucket or something like that. However, I want to repurpose this bucket for the mini skid for making scrap cleanup down in the wood yard in and around the Eastimate Evo and the tumble screener a little bit easier. I need a bigger bucket to come in and do some light material handling for sawdust and wood chips off the screener. So with that said, we are going to make this standard skid steer quick attach mounting plate on the back, also compatible with a mini skid steer quick attach. So here's a quick shot at how ridiculous this bucket would look on this mini skid if you were trying to do any kind of earth moving or material spreading like gravel or anything. Obviously way oversized for this small of a machine, but for the light material, this is basically going to be a snow bucket for the mini skid. And then we're going to be recycling some old material. This is just some scrap from another project I had. And then we've got a new welding and fabricating piece of equipment here we're going to try out. This is the Art Captain plasma cutter. This is something that I needed to go along with the welder. If you're going to start getting into any kind of fabricating, I highly recommend a plasma cutter. It's just way better than an angle grinder or, well, I'll let you talk about it. You've got a plasma cutter. You used to do everything with an angle grinder.
Yeah, so I used to do everything with an angle grinder. The plasma cutter is like using cheat codes is probably the best way that I can describe it. It's magic.
Yeah.
And it just, it just makes everything so much fast. I mean, as long as you have a smooth hand, it cuts well and it'll do well for you. So we're going to get this thing unboxed first. We're going to get this thing cut to size.
So pick that up and show them exactly how this is all going to go together. This should be a 5-minute project.
Well, that's what they all say, right? So we're going to cut this end off of it right here because we only need this piece of material right here. And essentially, all we're going to be doing is taking this piece of material, welding it right under there, and then we're going to blow some holes in the top of this with the plasma cutter that the locks,
the locking pins.
Yeah, the locking pins will fly into here and basically lock it on.
And if you were ever wondering, here's what the backside looks like. So your typical skid steer quick attach mounting points are right here and outside, and obviously the mini skid is much smaller and actually conveniently fits just inside of those. So basically what we need to do is add something like this on the bottom of the mini skid. So should be pretty quick and simple.
And we know this works because I did it with pallet forks.
That's true. Yeah, you had some full-size pallet forks for your tractor that you repurposed for your mini skid.
Yep. Oh, there you go. All right. So,
what's the thickness on that, do you think?
oh, that's 1/4 inch at least.
Yeah, that did. I mean, it cut through it quick.
Yeah, that's at least 1/4 inch. So now that we've got this bucket off here, it might give you a better idea that this piece is literally just going to go like that. That's all it's going to be. Blow 2 holes in the top of it for those pins. We'll be good to go. So let's grab the grinder and let's clear a nice thick portion, because you have to remember we have to weld on the top and the bottom, and this is about 1.5 inches thick. So we'll have to get a line up here and then 1.5 inches lower, line down there.
Yep.
It sounds like it.
Shoo!
Alright.
This doesn't look too bad. Yeah, just keep going.
So this is to put this on the mini skid?
Yeah.
Just for cleaning up around the wood yard and stuff.
This is a get around from just buying the plate
Yeah.
because you're too cheap.
Because he's too cheap.
Well, you know what? We want to finish this up later and let's go ride now.
Oh, well, yeah, they got how long is it going to take you to unload? 10, 15 minutes? 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Do you want to go down there?
I'll finish this bottom weld here and you guys get unloaded.
Oh, there we go. All right,
Done.
done.
Slap a coat of paint on there and...
Well, we got to cut 2 holes in the top here.
Oh, yeah. And we can do that later. I want to go ride 4-wheelers. Campsite. We used to camp back here.
Oh, is this the one you cleaned out?
Yeah.
Like years ago?
Yeah. But there's the...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure.
That is a cliff.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't get any closer than this right here.
Smoke swing.
Seriously.
Zip line.
The zip line would be sweet.
you'll notice a difference in the quality of the trails. We're getting to where Doug grooms with his...
Doug's, right?
This isn't Doug's property yet, but he grooms these trails, so that's why they're like fucking highways. All right, so since this turned into a miniature weld off, I thought I'd show you guys. We each did about a quarter, right? So 1/4, and then Jake and Elliot did a quarter and quarter on the other side.
So this is Adam, right here to about here. This is Chris,
Yep.
right there.
And then we'll flip the bucket over.
1, 2, 3.
And then I can't remember who did what on this side.
Hold on, we gotta be fair.
Elliot did this.
Yeah, so
and
I
did that.
I was here to here, and then Jake was over there.
Okay, so this
that's a
right
little
here
wider.
is Elliot, and this is Jake. Let us know in the comments whose welds. Give us a 1, 2, 3, 4. I already have a feeling that
Be kind.
Adam at Hometown Acres is going to be 4, but
Wait, it's for the best?
no, 4 is the worst.
Oh, okay.
What is 1, 2, 3? Where's the finish line there?
I mean, mine's wide. Me and Chris's are wider than Elliot's. And that's all I'm going to say.
Let's keep in mind we're using Harbor Freight wire.
All right,
I'm
so
gonna get Adam some ESAB wire, and we're gonna really he'll really be able to weld.
All
I
right.
did the sides too. Let's look at the sides. Let's judge the sides.
Sides look good.
So all we have left to do now is we need to put this back on the mini skid, mark out where the lockout holes need to be. We'll blast those through with the plasma cutter, throw some paint on it so it doesn't rust, and we'll be done.
I gotta say, Adam, that's a super nice plasma cutter.
Yeah, like I said, I have nothing to compare it to, but when I was cutting this out here, I was impressed with how easily it was cutting through.
Yeah, that's
the-
a nice that's a nice plasma cutter.
Well, it's on there. Now we gotta go try to test it out and what it was designed for.
Didn't get any dirt. No dirt. that one. I tell you what, though.
To be fair, that's pretty solid. Like,
I haven't broken it off, dug it in this. Like,
Well, you're not back dragging at all.
back dragging. We're not back
Elliot.
All right, so even though I originally said this bucket was going to be for light material handling only, Elliot and his metal fabrication skills is hell-bent on pressure testing this thing.
Now I want to break it.
He wants to break it. He wants to make sure that it's not going to break.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So obviously dug into some clay up there, and I said, well, you're not really back dragging it, which is where the stress of this is going to be on those pins, is back dragging. So he's going to pull into the little bit of gravel that I have left here, spread it and back drag it and see if he can't break it.
Well, first thing I want to do is I want to try to get a full scoop of the stone here. What's this, 2+?
This is 3 rock.
So I want to see if we can get a full scoop and see if we can move it.
Yeah.
To see if this is like viable to use as a bucket, right?
This is a 72-inch bucket, which looks kind of crazy on a mini skid. But yeah, I'm kind of curious too if it's too much for it.
Right, so the first thing I want to do is try to get into that pile and see what we can do with it.
Okay.
And then after that, then we can beat it up.
Does it feel tippy?
So it doesn't feel any worse than like a firewood bin.
Yeah.
That's what it like. So I have one of these as well. If you guys don't know that, this is what a firewood bin feels like. And I feel like I'm gonna do this to my bucket now.
Can I try it?
Yeah.
Maybe a firewood bin.
Yeah.
Well, you give it the right angle too.
Yeah.
You know? All right, so we got a muddy spot right here. Let's see if we can do something about that.
Yeah. So I think that right there is probably the most you can torture test is back dragging gravel with a bucket to make sure it's going to stay on there. If that didn't break it, I don't know what could.
I mean, I could try to break it.
How about we go and use it for its intended purpose now, which is cleaning up.
See, so here's the deal. I know that you had an intended purpose, but now that we see what this thing can do, I almost feel that this is more useful
Than the bucket that comes on it?
Right. If you have to
Yeah.
go through like a fence gate, sure, 3 foot wide bucket. But now that we can see
They're
that,
underselling this machine.
yeah, this is
I need to the same thing with mine. Like
Yeah.
the reason why I don't use the bucket on the mini skid steer is because it's so small. But why? It's clearly
capable.
plenty powerful enough to be able to handle a bucket. And this is 72 inches, you said, right?
Yeah, this is
Like
that's a bucket off of a,
90% of your uses with a mini skid steer for doing dirt work, this would probably be adequate.
yeah.
Unless you have to fit into
In
a
a
really
fence.
tight, small area.
Yeah. But now that we
But-
see that it works, I don't see any reason why you would take this bucket off.
One thing I will say is what we did here today made that bucket way more versatile that I can now use it on the tractor or the mini skid.
Yeah. So what do you want to go do what with it now?
Just clean up
I got so
some
excited about this, I forgot what
clean up some wood chips and sawdust from the firewood
wood
processor.
chips and sawdust. We did rock. Let's go do wood chips and sawdust. All right, so Adam hasn't tried it, and I said, hey, do you want to try this? And he said, yeah, sure, I guess, since it's my machine. That's probably a full bucket of the factory bucket, I bet you.
Yeah, that factory.
You know what you could almost do with this thing? It's just, since you can turn this on a dime, you could almost park this right here.
I know. That's what I've actually thought about getting either a snow bucket for the tractor, like a 2-yard bucket and parking it under here, or a dump hopper or a dump cart or something for the front of a tractor or a skid loader. This is the worst part of this right now is dealing with the waste products, the sawdust and all the scrap that comes off the barrel screener. So that's what I'm trying to fine tune now. You might be asking yourself, if this bucket works so well for picking up the scrap in here, why didn't you just leave it on the tractor? Well, because this is kind of a tight area, getting the tractor in here is much more difficult than the mini skid. And so I can come in here and maneuver in tight areas. And so it just makes more sense inside a building to have a bigger bucket on a smaller machine. And the mini skid is easier on and off to be the operator and the laborer. So to come over here and do this part of breaking all the stuff into the bucket,
How quick is it, Adam?
quicker. More quick. All right, so what was supposed to be just a quick little project has turned into a group effort here. Me, Jake, Chris, and Elliot all kind of tag team this with a little bit of a four-wheeler ride in between there. And what was supposed to be just a light material bucket has actually turned out to be something that we can use for dirt work and spreading stone and all of that. I'm pretty impressed, honestly, that one, we've got everything fabricated on there well enough that it's not coming off for those purposes, but two, that the mini skid handles it. Now, if you guys don't know, Elliot from Everything Elliot and Jake from Dig
Dig,
I was-
drive,
I was
DIY.
gonna
Drive
say-
DIY.
Dig, drive, DIY.
Neil already has enough.
Neil's got enough
Dude
stuff.
Ranch.
Dude Ranch DIY. They all have these Baumalight mini skids, and they all use them. And I mean,
I would
what?
say I have used mine the most.
Yeah. What do you guys think about it?
I mean, I want one of these. My biggest complaint about why I don't use the bucket on this machine is that it's too small. It's just not really feasible to be useful for anything. I'd rather
It's-
use the tractor.
It's slightly better than a wheelbarrow and a shovel.
Barely.
Yeah.
And having something like this with a bucket this size would be so much more useful for all of these types of things where you want a big bucket, but you need a small machine to get into those tight areas.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the answer to that.
Yeah.
My view on this is I'm glad I could use Adam as the test subject, so I'm going to do this when I get home.
Yeah.
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 So
I think you will see probably 2 other videos on modifying buckets.
See me, I'm not cheap though, so I'm just going to buy the plate and I'll just weld the plate in mine.
that was another thing I wanted to
That's
talk about is
probably what I
It's $100.
on the pallet forks that you did for
Yeah.
your tractor that you conformed to a mini skid.
And my
you,
trailer mover.
you bought a mini skid mounting bracket that you then welded to the attachment.
But
Whereas
you still had to remount the holes.
I
The
did
holes
have-
were
I
not.
did-
The
yeah.
holes are never perfect.
Yeah.
But at least you have the plate, and like 98% of it's there.
So, anyway, my arm's getting tired here. Project brought to completion successfully. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Don't forget, go check out everything Elliot and Dude Ranch DIY. And I hope to see you on the next one. Thanks
I mean,
for
you
watching.
can check out Dig Drive DIY while you're at it.
Yeah, Neil Dig Drive DIY got a great channel too.
Yeah.